Hello, everybody. Here we are, 5.1, relating fractions, decimals, and percents. Let's start by you copying down this image into your notes section. So we'll be using this quite a bit. I have a kind of printed version that you'll use. But this first section is kind of mostly about moving from fractions to decimals to percent, or percent to decimal, or percent to fraction. And so there's a few things we'll need to kind of get familiar with. And so start copying it down and I'll explain it a little bit. So I have an example here. First, we have a fraction, 1/4. To move from a fraction to a decimal, we are going to divide our numerator, 1, divided by our denominator, 4. We'll get 0.25. I could show you this on the calculator. We can go, 1 divided by 4 will give us 0.25. To move from that decimal, 0.25, to a percent, now we're moving from here to here. We times by 100, and we get 25. That's a percentage, so 25%. And then our next step, to move from a percentage back to a decimal, we divide by 100. And notice we're back at our decimal, 0.25, where we were on our way over the first one. And this last one, I think, is the most difficult step. You need to use place values. And here's the thing. 1 after the decimal is called, the 10 spot. And 2 after is called the hundredths spot. And so what we need to do is look at where our last decimal is, and we place that, this becomes over here, 25 over 100, because that 5 is in the hundredth spot. And then we can reduce this fraction, 25 over 100. If we, divide top and bottom by 25, we'd get 1 over 4, which is our original fraction. So let's try some of these. And we can, use our initial kind of diagram to move between the spots. If you need some more time here, let me know and I can pause the video. So, let me know and I can pause. But let's tackle these first ones. So write each percent as a fraction and as a decimal. Okay, so they don't tell us what order we got to go in. We have a percent. I think I want to make a stop first at decimal and then go to fraction, because if we're over here at percent, we can go to decimal by dividing by 100, and then we can go to fraction by using the place values. So let's start with 24.5 divided by 100. I'm making this first step right here from percent to decimal. So let's do that. 24.5 divided by 100 gives us 0.245. 0.245. And now this kind of next step is the hardest one, using place values. Remember, the 2 is in the 10 spot, the 4 is in the 100 spot, and the 5 is in the thousandths. So we do 245 over 1,000. And then we got to reduce this fraction. So that's another tough part. I can see that 5 is going to go into each of these. They both end in 5, or 5 and a 0. So let's divide each by 5. 245 divided by 5 equals 49. And what would 1,000 divided by 5 be? 1,000, you can do this divided by 5. Oh, oops, what did I press mod for? 1,000 divided by 5. This is 200. And I think that's about as far as we can get. I mean, 7 goes into 49, and 1, I don't know if there's anything else. I don't think there's any other common factors. So there you have it. And let's do our next one, 73.25. I want to go first to decimal as well, just dividing by 100. So up here, we're taking this step right here. We're going percent to decimal, dividing by 100. And what's that got? Well, notice over here, when we divided by 100, it moved this decimal spot over 2 spots. So I'll show you, when we divided by 100, it moved this decimal over 1, 2. So we could do the same here. We could just move this decimal over 1, 2, and get 0.7325. And now what the heck are we going to do? We got this really long one. We got the 7 in the 10 spot, 3 in the hundredths, 2 in the thousands, and 5 in the 10,000 spot. So we're going to have, 7, 3, 2, 5 over 10,000. And now let's reduce this. They've got to end in a 5 and a 0, so I know I can divide by 5. 7, 3, 2, 5 divided by 5 equals 14.65. Is that what that was? Over 2,000. That's 10,000 divided by 5. I could show you that. 10,000 divided by 5. And now look, they ended in a 5 and a 0 again. So let's divide by 5 again. I can do this right now. Divide by 5. Get 400. And 1465 divided by 5 gives us 293. And I suspect that's probably about as far as we can go. If you have the Texas Instrument Calculator that I like, there's a way to reduce your fractions on there that I could show you. But yeah, I think that's about as far as we can get. And there you go. We got it. I'm back. We're on number 2. Use hundreds chart to represent 1%. Shade the chart to represent each percent. So this one's kind of strange. So instead of a hundreds chart, I'll draw one out. And it's not going to be a very good drawing. To represent 100, we're going to use it to represent 1. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. Should make 10 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that should be 100. I've done it correctly. And so this whole thing represents 1%. Instead of 100%, it's just 1%. And so 0.3 out of 100% is a very, very small percentage, but out of 1%, it's actually quite a bit of it. If we did 0.3 divided by 1, that's a whole, 30% of it. If you added 3 of these together, you're at, almost at the whole 1%. So we're looking at actually that this is going to cover quite a bit of this. It's going to be 30 of these. So all of this row, all of this row, and all of this row. So it'll seem like 30 out of 100. So which would be, it's still 30% essentially, but it's just out of 1%. So that's what that looks like. It's kind of hard to think about. I'll draw another beautiful chart and hopefully I really nail it as well. So you should make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it should be 100 there. And now we're looking at what's 55 of those. So we can do the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of those, there's 50. And then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be 55. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. That should be 55 of those. So 55 out of 100, though as like less than 1%, we're just using a kind of smaller one to represent a bigger one. There is a diagram in your textbook that's pretty decent, so you can ask me and I can show you what that looks like. That might kind of illuminate this question a little bit more. But let's do the next one. Write each fraction as a decimal and as a percent. Okay, so this one we're just going all the way from a left side to the right side. We can go fraction to decimal and then decimal to percent. So let's go fraction to decimal first. Let's do 5 divided by 200. So let's go 5 divided by 200, 0.025. And then to get to decimal to percent, we can go decimal times 100. And let's see what we get. Times 100. 2.5%. Okay, not so bad. And I would say that makes sense, right? Like 1 out of 100 is going to be 1%. If we think about this out of 100, it would be like half of the numerator. So let's do fraction to a decimal first. Let's go 12 divided by 500. See where that gets us. And we get 0.024. Very close to our other one, 0.024. So what do we expect? What happened last time when we times by 100? It moved that decimal over 2 spots to the right. So I think it's good to assume we're going to move our decimal over 2 spots to the right here as well. And we get 2.4%. Also, I would say makes sense. It's very kind of small portion of the 500. Okay, let's do number 4. Write each percent as a fraction and as a decimal. These ones we have to be careful with. Notice where the decimal is. This is 0.7. This is less than even 1%. This is a very small percentage. It's not. Sometimes I notice we can be tempted to call this like 7 out of 10, but that's 70%, and this is just 0.7%, a very small amount. So let's go fraction and a decimal. I want to go, so we're going all the way. We got a percent. Let's go to decimal and then to fraction. It's kind of actually like our first one. So let's go 0.7 divided by 100 to start off. 0.7 divided by 100. Oh, I still got stuff in there. 0.7 divided by 100. 0.007. And now is here where we look at the place values. This is our 10 spot, remember? This is our hundredths. This is our thousandths. So we have 7 over 1,000 is that as a fraction. And now let's do this one. Again, 0.44% is less than 1%. It's a very small. I'm going to divide that by 100. Notice what happened over here when we divided by 100. Our decimal moved over to the left twice. So I think it's safe to assume our decimal will move over to the left twice again, and we'll have 0.0044. And now what do we got? We got a 0 in the tens, a 0 in the thousandths. We got a 4 in the hundreds, a 4 in the thousands, and a 4 in the 10,000ths. So we're going to have 44 over 10,000. And then we can reduce each of these. I think 4 is going to go into each of these. So we can go, 44 divided by 4. It's going to, give us 11. And we'll have 10,000 divided by 4. That gives us 2,500. So we'll have 11 over 2,500 as our fraction. Okay, so I do find that step to be quite difficult. We got to deal with some fractions. You got to deal with the place value, and you have to reduce a fraction often, which can be tough. Okay, let me just write that a little nicer, 2,500. Okay, let's do a couple more. Write each decimal as a fraction and as a percent. Okay, so let's maybe start. We're at decimal. We're going to go to percent. Let's look up here. So we're going decimal to a percent. We're going to times by 100. So we're doing that jump right there. And we're also going decimal to fraction. So we're going to do this second part right here. So let's do the first jump. Let's times by 100. Let me use my blue color again. 0.221 times 100. And we go 0.221 times 100 gives us, equals 22.1%. And let's also do our place values. We got a 2 in the 10 spot, a 2 in the hundredths, and a 1 in the thousandths. So we'll have 221 over 1,000. I don't know if we can reduce, so let's just leave it like that. I guess I can check on my calculator. 221 over 1,000. No, can't reduce it further than that. And then let's do our next one. We got 0.003 times 100. Notice last time when we times by 100, our decimal moved 2 to the right. So let's move that 2 to the right. And we get 0.3%, so very small percentage, less than 1%. And then let's also look at our place values. Remember, the 0 is in the tens, the other 0 in the hundreds. We got a 3 in the thousandths. So we have 3 over 1,000 gives us our fraction. Okay, 2 more. Let's do a couple of word problems. Elaine scored 19 out of 24 on her science test. Addison had 81.25% on the same test. Who did better, and how do you know? So I want to make, we want to make these comparable. We could turn 81.25 into a, well, first let's show this. You get a test back, you got 19 out of 24. Often your teacher might write it as 19 out of 24, like that on the top of your test. So we could change Addison's score into a fraction. But I actually think it'll be easier to change Elaine's score into a percent. So let's look at our chart. We got a fraction. We want to go all the way to percent. So let's make a stop at decimal and then go to percent. So we're going to do her score, top of her score divided by the bottom. We'll get the decimal. We'll times it by 100. So let's go 19, the numerator divided by the denominator, 24. 19 divided by 24, 79.16, 79.79167, I guess we can round it. 79 point, let's do 79.2, round it up. I'll round it up just to 3 decimal places. And then to get from 0.792 to percentages, we're going to times by 100. And remember, that means we're going to move this decimal just like we did up in this question right here. Move the decimal over 2 spots. And we have 79.2%. And so Addison did better on her science test. So she got 81. Is, you can see pretty easy to compare from there. Just a couple percentage points better. Still both a B. It's a solid mark. Okay, and our last one. During a school tournament, Team A had 10 of its 12 members present. Team B had 13 of its 15 players present. Which team had the lesser percent of its team present at the tournament? So we're comparing 2. We had Team A has got 10 out of 12. And Team B has 13 out of 15 players present. And they want to know what is the lesser percentage. So let's change each of these into a percent. For each of them, we're going to go 10. We're going to go the top divided by the bottom. So we're going to do 13 divided by 15 over here. And whatever we get, we're going to times it by 100. So whatever we get there, we're going to times by 100. I'm kind of showing both steps at once. Maybe that's not too good, but we're over here. We're going fraction to decimal, and then we'll go decimal to percent. I guess I'll show that in 2 steps. Let's not cut corners on our first day, I guess. Okay. So let's do it. 10 divided by 12 equals 0.83, 0.833, let's call it. And 13 divided by 15 equals 8.6. Oh, sorry. Not 8.6, 0.867. Yeah, let's round it up. 8.67. And so even from here, you can kind of compare, but we're going to times both of these by 100 to get the percentage. So 0.833 times 100 and 0.867 times 100. So each of these, we're going to move the decimal place over to the right. And so we'll have 83.3% of Team A was there, and 86.7% of Team B was there. So Team A has, fewer percent players, present. There you go. Lesser percent, whatever.